The Alley Theater debuts a new play loosely based on a true story. This is Dr. David D. Shine, and welcome to a special edition of Starstruck as we keep our audience up to date on the arts and theater scene. The Alley Theater is presenting Cowboy Bob, self-described as an infamous new musical. It's based on a real-life character, Peggy Jo Tallas, who dressed up like a cowboy in the early 90s and robbed a handful of banks before she got caught. She was sent to prison for about 3 years, comes out, and by the way, then acted as a cashier, I think, at a local diner for about a decade. She then buys an RV, tells everybody goodbye, that she's going to go find herself and enjoy her years that were left. She was in her early 60s. And she robs one more bank. It's awfully hard to rush away from a bank robbery in an RV. And the cashier in that particular case put a dye pack in, and between the dye pack and trying to run away in an RV, she was in a tough situation, and she committed suicide by cop, as it is called today, in 2005. So that's the sad story of Peggy Jo and Cowboy Bob. I still am not sure what motivated her to do this. She was responsible for caring for her elderly mother. We're presuming when she packed up the RV that her mom had indeed passed. But it's in any event, it's not the happiest story to create a musical over, but it's interesting. And hey, it's Texas, folks. And of course, this was being played at the Alley during Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo season, so how appropriate. The composing team was Molly Beach Murphy, Jenna Phillips, and Annie Tippy, with the help of the Alley presentation team and a really good performers. This is an entertaining show, and as I mentioned, it does deviate from the real story. They introduce a woman who works in a diner, supposedly, who is inspired by Peggy Jo. And they also don't mention the fact that she did go to prison after the first series of robberies. So, that's a few key details out of there. Peggy Jo is played by Jackie Burns. She's a solid performer with a good country voice. The waitress is played by Ashley Perez Flanagan, and I felt that she outshined the Peggy character with a more versatile voice and just a little bit more spunk on stage. The show stealer in this particular production was Nathaniel Tenenbaum, who played the part of Paul. And he was an interesting character, and I thought that he did a pretty nice job with what I thought was the best musical number in the production. Again, this was original music, and some of it just didn't quite hit it with me. And I do have a commentary that I think a lot of modern musicals, and I'll be blunt, I'm not a Stephen Sondheim fan, and I felt that his generation of theater writing, of songwriting, largely was putting music behind a set of lyrics rather than creating truly great music. And unfortunately, this musical falls into that pattern, in my opinion. The set was rather outstanding. It was designed by Diggle, who is described as a person who travels around the world doing this. He utilized many of the mechanics and other things that are available with the advanced large stage at the Alley. One of the interesting things they did was to have the band, which is a very impressive 6-piece band, on an upper stage, and were visible to the audience from time to time, and of course did a great job playing the music. Again, wasn't thrilled with the music, but it was well played by this 6-piece band. And I do want to close with my normal disclaimer. I buy my own tickets. I do not disclose to the theater that I plan to do a review or tell them about the review before it is released. This is Dr. Dave awarding 4 stars to the Alley Theater for its production of Cowboy Bob. If you've enjoyed this presentation of Starstruck, please subscribe on your favorite platform.